Hello, once again, this is Stan Houston for the Interesting Ideas podcast. And this is kind of the flagship program because, I'm the one in charge. And so I get to start for what we call the What It Takes Radio Company. And we are a podcast and publishing company, and we're going and growing. And we're going to be looking for people who want to join us because the podcasting business is really booming in many ways, but there's much more to it if you combine podcasting with publishing and then with performance marketing, which is what every business needs to know how to do. And we're going to help people all around the world do that. And if you'd like to be a part of What It Takes Radio and perhaps audition on the Interesting Ideas podcast, this is your opportunity to do just that. Hey, today, in the midst of the turbulence on Thursday, and we'll see where the weekend goes. It'll be interesting to see what things happen in the war between Israel and Hamas and how that begins to flow and go, particularly in the siege of the hospital area. And what they will discover, I'm pretty sure, is just exactly what the Israelis have said for years, is that hospital complex is actually a complex command center for stuff that the terrorist group has done all along. Now, what that will lead to and what they'll have to do, who knows? All I know is, and I said this to people, is Israel has to win. They have to, because if they don't, they're gone. The nation is gone. They don't get a second chance. So they will make sure they do that. So here we go. The subject. I was hoping a new pastor to be was selected for our congregation. And there were a number of questions that were going to be asked. I didn't ask any, but there was one particular question that probably might have been kind of embarrassing for me and perhaps for the candidate. But I think it's a very important question. And so today I would like to talk about that. My question would be is, have you ever failed? Have you ever had some really big failures in life? And would you mind telling us a little bit about them? Have you ever had a question like that in an interview? Well, tell us how you've screwed up before, or tell us what you failed at before, or what are you not very good at? Those kind of silly questions. But there's something important about that, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about failure, maybe betrayal, and then walking with a limp. That's the agenda for this Thursday. Let's see where it takes us. I'm Stan Houston. The program is Interesting Ideas, and it begins right now. And of course, as some of you suspect, obviously, if you're watching, but this is one of those video radio shows. Podcast is primarily audio, old-fashioned radio. That's why I love it so much, because I just really love old-fashioned radio. But what is happening is that, and this is true, that many people actually listen to podcasts on YouTube. That's where they go to find their podcast. And as a result of that, more and more podcasts are now also being done as performances, as video presentations. And we're kind of going in between. Primarily, we do audio work. That's a little bit easier to produce. But we also, from time to time, usually maybe now once or twice a week, will actually produce the program as we're right in the studio, the microphone's right here, and you get to watch, as I say, I have a face made for radio, and but you get to enjoy it or endure it anyhow. Here we go. I've had a lot of experience as a business performance coach. I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs and successful businessmen and women. and I've helped many of them through some very, very difficult times. One of my key statements is that remember that Scott Peck said in The Road Less Traveled, first three lines, first three words, life is difficult. And I simply say this: adversity is part of the plan. And I quote the master entrepreneur who said, "You will have troubles." That's right. So my question is, I'd like to say is, have you ever had kind of a big time failure? I have on a number of occasions. Um, one of my friends has a great line. His name is, well, he's kind of an acquaintance. We have similar haircuts, but yeah, we've talked, but I don't think he'd remember me. But his name is Seth Godin. And his oftentimes starting line is, I have started many businesses. Most of them failed. Well, right now he's incredibly successful because he kept trying and kept trying and kept trying and keeps trying. And as a result of that, he has done a great deal of work, and he's very successful with a fan club and the people who buy his books and buy his materials and invite him to come and speak from all over the world. But I love the line, I have started many businesses, but most of them have failed. Well, here is the point. I would hope perhaps the young man, and he was a young man, even by, other standards, almost everybody's young compared to me anymore. He's a younger man. Have you ever had it happen to you where you've given your heart, mind, and soul to something and it just didn't work out? How did you handle it? How did you deal with that? How did you make a comeback from that? Another line I've said about experience is that please remember that those people who have a few stars probably have more scars. Yeah, they've started, they've made it, but they probably have a few scars. It didn't work out, and so I'm always curious to know how people have dealt with difficulty, how they have dealt with failure, how they have dealt with those kind of things. And the reason I want to know is perhaps I can help them, because sometimes those things can last for a long, long, long time. I know from personal experience. One of those things took me a long time to get over. And as my wife would say from time to time, sometimes I'm not sure you ever got completely over it. So, question for you is, and a question that you as a business leader need to ask, particularly maybe partners or colleagues or maybe even customers, what have been some of the failures in life and how have you dealt with them? And sharing that story is where wisdom comes from. That's where wisdom comes from. Sharing the stories of success, certainly, but of non-success. And even more so, I ask this question. Have you ever had a JE in your life? They say, oh, what's a JE? I said, a Judas event. Yeah, a Judas event. Have you ever been betrayed? I mean, yeah, you had a friendship, you had a partnership, you had a business together, you had a project together, and they just put it to you, stabbed you in the back kind of thing. You were betrayed, taken advantage of. Have you ever been betrayed? Well, I have. And I know someday that I might ask Jesus about that, because he was too. How did you feel when your supposedly friends betrayed you? Betrayed you. So, have you ever failed? What did you learn from it? What are you continuing to learn from it? How was it helpful? How was it useful? but also you can say, and it was wasteful. It just. Um, have you ever been betrayed? Here's a tougher question. Have you ever been broken? Now, I'm very careful about asking that, but it was a deal that really broke you. Maybe literally broke you. You were broke. uh, you know, financially, or it was such a bad hurt that you really were broken up. Not only broken hearted, broken up, and physically, emotionally, spiritually, you were a broken person. And I've sensed that in my own life from time to time, and I know some people who have had that happen to them. And unfortunately, I also know some people who were broken, and they never truly ever recovered from it. And of course, that's what the kind of spiritual resources which we talk about all the time is. In effect, you can't get through life without understanding that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience from time to time. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And if we truly want to be all we can be, want to be, or should be, we will have to deal with the spiritual realities all around us, oftentimes deep inside of us that we're not aware of, and do something not just physical and emotional and relational. We may even have to do something spiritual. That's the deal. So I just share that with you today as a way of thinking, as the year before us is going to be quite difficult. Here we go again. We thought, well, we're going to get back to normal. Well, we're not. We're not going to get back to normal. Normal is gone. And challenge and turbulence is a part of the deal that we're going to have to deal with in life right now. And those who learn the art of having not only the survival skills, but perhaps even the thriving skills in the midst of turbulence and difficulty and brokenness, they'll be the ones who will be, as the expression is, more than conquerors. We are more than conquerors. Love that expression, more than conquerors. And if you want to know where that came from, just ask and I'll let you know. I also have a wonderful line, and it actually comes from a story that's in the Hebrew scriptures, about a man named Jacob, who was, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the founding fathers and mothers of the Jewish faith, and of course of the nation of Israel. It said that he wrestled with God. Have you ever thought about that? That he wrestled with God, and that what happened was that the difficulties of life that he went through and the wrestling went through is that he had a limp. He had a limp for the rest of his life. One of my mentors said, never trust a man without a limp. Think about that. Obviously, he's not necessarily talking about a physical limp, but never trust a man who hasn't gone through the difficulties, maybe the betrayals, the struggles, the wrestling. Never trust a man. Didn't say woman, and I think there was a good reason for that. Never trust a man without a limp. I'll just let that sit on your head for a while. I'm Stan Houston, and we're hoping to help you live better right now. In effect, a number of ways that we can help you do that. Becoming one of the 3%, our coaching experiences, our radio programming, our video teaching. We are in the business of helping people become world-class business leaders, entrepreneurs. Yes. Business leaders, entrepreneurs, broadcasters, coaches. Yeah. World-class. Excellence. Really good at what we do. And in the business, as someone has said, AI will take away many of our jobs, and it will. So what do? You do 3 things. You pray for exceptional wisdom. You do that. Number 2, you get really, really good at what you do. Number 3, you become a creator, an innovator, somebody who can make new things. The robots can't do that. AI can't collate that. And if you become one of those rare persons, you will be as set as anybody to make it and do it and live it and finish well. I'm Stan Houston. Thank you for your time. I would love to hear from you. StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. Would you like to be on my program? Well, why don't you audition? If you'd like to start your own radio program, do it. I dare you. And I can do that because I know that you can do it, but you'll need some help. And I know where you can find it. StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. Best and blessings to you. We'll see if we'll be back this weekend. If not, we just might take the time off and try and become a better person. Maybe we will enjoy the stillness. Maybe we will be a better person because we took 3 days and we just shut up. I do that from time to time, and it's always good for me. Take care. Blessings. Till next time. Bye for now.